Well, welcome everybody, and it's our pleasure to welcome you here to Gone Running. And we're here with Elliot Froidevaux, who succeeded this weekend in running the Hong Kong 100 Grand Sam, which is named after the first person that did it. What that means is you set off on Thursday and run 33k, then run 50k on the Friday, and then 100k.
Correct.
And what's really interesting is that at the expo this week, the Asia Trail Running Expo, we introduced and launched the Mont Blanc Carbon, and Elliot took the shoe out of the box and ran in this for that whole exhibition, whole race. So we are really interested to hear his experience of taking a brand new shoe out of the box and running in it. Elliot,
Yeah.
give us your.
Well, so most people would not. Thank you, by the way, and not many people would recommend that you use one shoe straight out of the box and you go running with it. I have some experience with Altra, so I know what how it fits my foot. But I went ahead and I did it, and the reason being is that when I stepped into the shoe, I felt it was very comfortable. So this is the first thing, and I used it. I used it for the 30. I used it for the 56 and the 103k.
Right.
So that is what I did for this shoe. In short, I think it's a wonderful shoe. I was waiting for Altra to come up with a racing shoe, a proper racing shoe. I think with the first one they were very close. I think with this
That
one,
was
the original one.
Yeah.
I think they were very close. I think they've done a lot of good upgrades with this new one.
We'll talk a little bit about what's been carried over and what are the upgrades.
Sure. So I think in terms of the midsole, I think this has always been one of the highlights of Altra. The Ego Max that we're using is a very soft midsole. It's very comfortable. This is one thing that they've done very well. The shoe at the same time is very light, so that's always important. The toe box is, it's Altra is known for that, and it fits my foot perfectly.
Yeah,
I have
so
a very
Footshape,
big, yeah.
It's the
I have a big, big toe, and it really forms my foot well. So I think in terms of shape, it's ideal. So for me, this is really the features of Altra: big, comfortable toe box, and then the midsole, and of course the grip, Vibram. You can never go wrong with Vibram, especially in Hong Kong. So that was my highlights of the Mont Blanc, the original one. I think now what they've done is they've added a bathtub construction for the midsole with Ego Pro. So the Ego Pro was in the Vanish Carbon, and now they've added that to the Mont Blanc Carbon, which I think it gives a little bit more responsiveness to the shoe, which is great. But without a carbon plate, then you've got too much of a soft shoe. So what they did is they put in a carbon plate.
right.
And I think with the carbon plate, it gives the combination of carbon plate and midsole is super important.
Right. So when we talk about this bathtub construction, what it means is the outside of the bathtub, if you like,
Correct.
is Ego Max.
Correct.
Then at the bottom of the bathtub, as
Is
Brian
Ego Pro.
Beckstead explained, is the carbon plate.
Correct.
And then on top of that, to fill up the bathtub, is the Ego Pro.
Yeah, which is a
from
very
Vanish
soft
Carbon.
and responsive
Yeah.
foam. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a very important feature. So the shoe itself becomes more stable. It becomes more rigid, but in a good way, because I think the other one, as much as it was a good shoe, I thought it was a little too pliable.
Right.
Now you've got a slightly more rigid shape,
Right.
and I think it's important. But on the other hand, I would have never tried this shoe straight out of the box.
Right.
Because of the carbon plate, if it wasn't a soft, flexible carbon plate. This one, considering it's a carbon plate, you can go both sides, which, the other plates, usually you could never go back this way. You could only go this way, okay? But you would never be able to fold it as much as you do now. So I think
that's actually one of the things that they mentioned, that this is not just any ordinary carbon plate.
Yeah.
It's actually a bi-directional flexible
absolutely.
plate, which is intended to be like that. It copes with the rocks and everything else.
Yeah.
That provides. Did you find it gave it a bit of stone protection as well?
So I think, of course, stone protection for sure. I think stability really, because most carbon plates, first of all, the base is narrower because generally shoes are, Altra is a wide base, and what happens is that when you have a narrow base and you have a hard shell like a carbon, you tend, if you hit a rock, you can go to one side or you can go to the other. So if you don't have strong ankles, you have a higher risk of actually rolling your ankle. But with a shoe like this, you can see just how pliable it is.
Yes.
And yet it's not overly pliable, because it feels that when you run with it, you don't have this bad kickback that you
Yes.
would do with a
Yes.
softer foam.
Yes.
So actually it is responsive and it works well as both a rock protector, but it also gives you that propulsion without being uncomfortable.
Right.
Especially over long distance. You know, I've run with carbon shoes over longer distances, and you tend to feel your ankles hurting at the end.
Yeah.
I never had any issue with this shoe at all.
Now talk a little bit about the heel, because I remember
Sure.
you and quite a number of other people had some issues with the original Mont Blanc
Yeah.
and the lockdown of
Yeah,
the heel.
yeah.
Tell us about what you found on this.
So this one, the heel fit, it fits perfect.
Right.
I mean, there's no runner's knot. You don't need a runner's
Okay.
knot. I think this makes a big difference, and you can see straight from inside the shoe. You can see that as much as the shoe looks dirty, inside is clean because it actually hugs your ankle well.
Right. So there's no debris getting in.
There's no debris going in, which was a bit of a problem with the previous one. So this one here actually feels, very comfortable. They've added some padding all around, so it's very comfortable. It feels much more secure. Again, because of the fact that the heel lock is good, then you don't need to crank down on the laces as much,
Right.
and so you don't have any pressure on the top of the foot. So generally, you put the shoe on, it's a very comfortable shoe.
And clearly Altra listened also to your comment about the round laces in the
Yeah,
original.
well, yeah.
So replacing the round laces
yeah.
with flat laces,
Yeah.
which also helps.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
the
So I didn't have any problems. I think they came undone one time on one pair, but generally they held shape the whole way through. Yeah, I thought it was nice. Also, one thing that I really think that made a big difference is this toe guard here and TPU overlay.
Okay.
And the reason being is because before they didn't have it, so there was no shape to the shoe. Now the fact that they have that feels like there's more room. It just feels like your toes don't necessarily hit fabric.
Right.
And progressively, if you do 50K, 100K, everything becomes an issue.
And I guess you clattered your toe once or twice onto a
Yeah,
rock,
absolutely.
and that
Yeah.
must have given you a little bit more protection.
Yeah. But this one I had no problem with.
Right.
So that was really good. Yeah, I thought it was a great shoe. I thought also the touches that they've put with the reflective material was a nice touch.
Okay.
When you're tired and you have nothing else to do and you've been doing this for 3
And
days.
you've been looking at your feet.
Yeah,
as well,
it's
right?
nice to see a little reflection of something, a little light at the end of the tunnel.
Right at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, but
So how did the race go altogether? How did,
so it went well. I felt relatively strong from the beginning to the
Right.
end.
Okay.
I had my legs are feeling good considering I finished yesterday.
Yes.
One thing that has never happened to me before, I have no blisters, not a single blister.
Yeah.
So
Amazing for taking a shoe straight out of
Yeah.
the box.
Yeah.
Without any,
Yeah.
which we always tell people never to do.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely,
Never
yeah,
just go
yeah.
and run straight out.
Yeah,
straight
yeah,
in a
yeah,
race.
yeah,
But you obviously.
Well, I mean, I trust. I trust Ultra. I've always trusted Ultra.
Right.
I just thought that they needed a racing shoe.
Right.
I think this is a racing shoe.
Fantastic.
I think they've really listened and they've done a heck of a good job
Right.
to come up with their version of a racing shoe.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Fantastic. Well, it is now the second iteration for this, and of course, they always learn.
yeah,
I mean, you were one of the people who gave some feedback.
Yeah.
We made sure that actually was fed back as well.
yeah,
I think there was a lot of commonality in some of the things that
Sure.
needed to be
Sure.
improved, and the guys really took it on board. They've come up with this great shoe.
Mm.
Um,
I think the only comment I forgot to mention, which I think is an important one, this one you feel like there's no slippage inside the shoe
right.
because the midfoot is well locked
It's well
into
locked,
place,
yeah.
and the heel locks you into place. Previously, you had the lock here, but not
Not
on the
here.
heel,
Right.
so you still had some movement. But now there's no movement,
Yeah.
so it's actually a shoe that you can actually use on more technical terrain
Exactly.
without
Exactly.
having any concern.
Yeah.
Because before you really felt like the flat one, no problem. But now you feel like you can start to take it to
Of course,
more
and it's-
technical.
It's named after Mont Blanc.
Yeah,
of
so you
course.
would hope that it can
The technical
hold.
trails there are somewhat
Absolutely.
more technical than here, aren't
Yeah,
they? So
yeah.
that's good to hear.
Yeah. So I think this is a great shoe. I have 100 miles that I'm going to do a Grand Slam of 100
Okay.
miles in Sweden that I'll be doing. I'll be using this shoe for sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming in, and look at the state of the shoe. It's,
Yeah.
it's obviously been.
It's been used.
Been well used. Okay, if you want to rank the features
Yeah.
1 to 10, so 10 being or 1 being the best aspect of the shoe, what would you?
You mean by feature?
Yeah, well, by feature, but
Or just general?
Out of 10. Out of 10. What would you say?
I think this is the best shoe I've had from Ultra. I think I definitely for an Ultra shoe this is a 10.
Okay.
without a question,
Fantastic.
without a doubt. So I think it's one of those shoes. If you are an Altra fan, I think you should get it. I think it's that good.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
And yeah, look forward to your next race in Sweden.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank